I mean, is Cooper Rush worth 2.5 points? I would hope Quinn Ewers put up a decent stat line against Arizona State. If he didn't, we have a real problem.
You can say the same thing about Creighton. Okay, they had the one good game against Kansas at home.
When Toast talks about the kicking market, it's like some earth is flat shit. Andy, true or false, this is going to be a dog walking.
Dog walking. This is my dog walking of the day. I think it's going to be very ugly. Dog walking. I think this is going to be ugly.
Hey, get the sauce. Hey, what's up, everybody? So we're doing NBA first. When I say we, I'm doing NBA first, but it's going to be literally 30 seconds. As you guys know, I don't really start getting into the NBA till December. I just don't have the time. But I'll put the poll up, see what people think. Obviously, no Tyrese Halliburton for the entire season for the Pacers. It's Oklahoma City on the road here. 229 feels like a low total for these two teams, but again, I haven't looked at it. I would really like to see what the Pacers' pace has been over the last couple years without Halliburton on the floor. I'm assuming they still run up tempo because that's kind of what they do. I mean, their name is the Pacers. They live up to that. So I would assume they are still an up-tempo team, but I don't have my spreadsheets up and running. I'm flying blind here. Oklahoma City played a pretty slow-paced game against Houston. Remember, the overtime made it look like a higher scoring game than it was. They played I think it was 93 possessions apiece in regulation, I believe it was, which is a pretty slow-paced game for Oklahoma City. I would imagine Houston's big-ass team was dictating most of that. Oklahoma City, Indiana, I'll put over up. Guys, I'm not betting the NBA until December, so just throwing this up there. If you're tailing, you're making the decision to do so. I'm not betting this. All right. Next up, Denver Golden State. We got a new coach in Denver. Anyone know anything about this new coach? Actually, I don't even want to talk. I don't know. That's my pick for this game. I really don't know. Let's get into NFL. All right. There's a new coach in Denver. I don't know. I haven't looked into it enough to really speak on it. All right. All right, guys, how was your weekend?
Ooh, well, my weekend was good, but Troy Torrance's weekend was one for the ages, and he always deflects when he's incredible. He's just a gentleman like that. Tell him, Troy, how was your weekend?
I had an 18-2 weekend. It was definitely one for the books.
Yeah,
but it's a what have you done for me lately business, you know? So
yeah,
I'm ready to
Empty
get to the
smiles.
Empty smiles,
man. He let us say from your colleagues and friends that work with you each week, you were excellent. You earned it. You grind, and you got rewarded. Now, of course, we need to do it again. But you were awesome. 18-2 is no joke.
No, that is not a joke. That's a hell of a weekend. Hopefully that momentum rolls over here. We got 6 NFL games queued up. I already have a video uploaded on the first one, so you guys know I placed a bet on the Vikings, but I think I'm just kind of doing a little bit of gambling because it's a standalone game. Are you guys sticking with the fade the Chargers train that has been a nonstop locomotive? Jim, are you sticking with it?
I cannot wait to talk about this game because I am with you, Kyle, and I am up against the extremely hot right now, Troy Torrance. Yes, I'm on the Minnesota Vikings. And when you look back at the 4 wins in a row we've had fading the Chargers, the first week against the Giants was a unit, cashed easily. My pops, though, was on the money line. You know, he got rewarded. We believed that it was not a bounce back spot coming back to the Commanders, that they really were worse than their statistics indicated. We hammered them. They went into Miami. We hammered them. 9.5 units in those 2 weeks. Then this past week, I was nervous. I only had a unit on the Colts, but we got there again. This week, and, you know, Troy and I break this game down for 25 minutes, and I know we move quickly here on the show, and I love it. But this is how I see this spot. You could say that gamblers are now coming in on the fade the Chargers wagon. They could be late to the party and early to the funeral. But the whole thing is being predicated on the statistics not making any sense. And that if the statistics that the pros are using, that PFF is using, if they don't make any sense, how can the market catch up properly? And my answer is it can't. catch up. So look at Pro Football Focus. They have this as the number 1 rushing offense in the NFL. Well, now Hassan Haskins is out. So Kamani Vidal at this point, and they'll make a roster move, is the only running back on the roster. He and the Chargers had 10 rushing yards on 6 carries in the first half. Does that sound like a number 1 rushing offense? No. Passing offense is ranked 7th. No quarterback in the NFL is getting pressured more than Justin Herbert. So here we go again. Do you believe that this is a 7th ranked passing offense? Look, Keenan Allen has added a new dimension. They have weapons at wide receiver. But again, I don't believe that. Now we have an offensive line. Could Joe Alt come back? Could Trey Pipkins come back? They're both hurt. But yes, it's possible to come back. The backup offensive tackle, Austin Deculus, he is hurt as well. So they got Khalil Mack and Denzel Perryman back. Did that change the pass rush, the 30th ranked pass rush? It didn't. So what have we seen with this market? This market opened up. The look ahead was 2.5. It opened up at a 3, and Chargers line moved to the Chargers. This became a 3.5. Since then, some very sharp books have moved it back to 3. Yep. And when the week started, the public was on Minnesota. They're not anymore. We have 53% of the tickets, 59% of the cash on the Chargers. What has Circa done? Some of these sharp books. Circa all of a sudden got all of this Chargers money, and what did they do? They moved it back to a flat 3. Why would they do that when all this Chargers money is coming back in? Van Ginkel is back. And again, I'm not betting on the Vikings. This is not me betting on the Vikings. This is me saying the market is incorrect. The statistics indicate the Chargers are a very good team. I don't believe they are one. And I am on the Minnesota Vikings.
So, yeah, I agree. And I'm on the Vikings plus 3.5 as well. I will say I think there's a path to Justin Herbert making some throws in this game. And if the tackles come back and they're able to pick up some of these blitz packages, Justin Herbert does have good numbers against the blitz when he's able to get the throw off. So maybe the tackle's coming back. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here. I'm on the Vikings. I think the Vikings with those receiving weapons, I think they're able to create separation. And regardless of who's playing quarterback, I think the Vikings will be able to move the ball. I mean, the Chargers' last 3 games, 7.2 yards per play they're allowing. 7.2 yards per play. It's like on the fringe of being the worst defense in the NFL in the last 3 games. I don't think they're that bad, and maybe this is a turnaround point for them, but based on what we've seen, you just can't convince me this should be above a field goal. So I do think there's a path to Justin Herbert making some throws, and on the plays where they're able to pick up the blitz packages, he's going to have to essentially be perfect, because I can't imagine he'll have run support like you said. So I guess there's a path to Justin Herbert going full hero mode, but yeah, I took the Vikings at plus 3.5, but it sounds like Troy's on the Chargers.
Yeah, and I'm kind of stuck in between a rock and a hard place, because it's really hard to get in front of what's going on here. The locomotive that has been fading the Chargers, the gift that keeps on giving. But I feel like I'm watching this market start to tip over this key number of 3. Like the last 3 Chargers home games, we've seen it stick at. It's a very similar market, moving towards the 3, closing between 2.75 and around 2.75. Now we're looking at 3.25. I think that's telling us that we are going to see Pipkins. We are going to see Alt. And I think that the 3.5 coming back to the 3 is Darisaw, being upgraded and basically coming back in. It's a really tough spot. I mean, obviously, last week I want to talk about the defense, because I think the defense is kind of where I want to buy low on this Chargers team. They're coming off a game against an elite Colts offense, and that's where I think it's a buy low situation. I've been talking about the Colts offenses that they're the best in the league. They're multifaceted. They're dynamic. They're run heavy. They could run the ball, the RPO, the read option, the play action. That's something that's not going to be in the bag of this Vikings team, who's going to struggle to run the ball. They're going to depend on Carson Wentz to drop back and throw the ball 30-plus times. And I trust Harbaugh to deploy a solid scheme. And, I expect his defense to be extremely disciplined. I look at this carousel with the Vikings between McCarthy and Wentz, and I feel like last week was a perfect example of what happens when you have a defense that's so polarized, like the Flores defense is. There's only the defense has kind of run its course. Once teams see enough film on this, Herbert knows what he's going to get in this spot. He's been up against this defense. He's been up against Flores before, And the last time he's seen Flores, he went 40 for 47 for 405 yards, 3 touchdowns. He knows he's going to see a non-traditional cover 4, which was really, it's more of a cover 2, or I guess a cover 6 in some cases. But you beat this defense that Flores is going to throw at you with hot reads in the deep ball. Keenan Allen last matchup had 18 catches, a high IQ wide receiver. We got 2 of them on the field with Allen and McConkey. You're going to beat it with option routes. You're going to beat it with hot reads. But the most important reason why I want to fade the Vikings, more than anything that I give you from an X's and O standpoint, is the fact that the Vikings haven't played a true road game since September 8th, since week 1. I love fading these spots. I know it's not a typical traditional home or a road game because they're going to LA, and the Rams Chargers home field advantage is minuscule, if any at all. But I still think it's a different environment, and I think they're going to struggle. I think the Chargers have an advantage, and I do also think that Herbert has in the prop market. I've been very successful with the prop market this year, so I bet the Chargers -3, and I also moved on Herbert 24 plus completions at plus 100 because I don't think they're going to have much success running the football either against this Vikings team, which means we're going to see, a more non-traditional, an extension of the running game with short passing game. And I don't think they're going to have success. I just feel like it's a great matchup to back Herbert and his props.
So, yeah, I actually agree with some of the things you said, especially about Herbert. I like the matchup for him as well. And like I said, on the plays where they pick up the blitz packages, I do think he'll be able to make throws. We just saw Jalen Hurts post a perfect passer rating against this Vikings defense. One of those blitz packages, one of those blitzes is going to get through, and that's going to be a drive staller. That's what's keeping me. If it was a pick, I probably could get there with you, but the full 3, can't do it. Jets, Bengals. I placed the bet in this one. I want you guys to go first, though. This says 7. It's 6.5 everywhere, so don't listen to this graphic. I'm putting the poll up at 6.5. Who's batting lead off here?
Jimmy, lead off, brother.
You want me to hit lead off? Now, I'm a little nervous about this spot, honestly. I find when things come a little too easy to you, generally the ROI isn't positive. I remember 3 years ago, my MLB changed drastically. The first thing I did was when the card would come out, my gut would say, oh, that's the best bet on the board. And I would just put a line through it. Do not trust my gut. Do not trust what comes easy. But the way I see this spot is Tyrod Taylor, we expect at quarterback here. And he is going to give some hope and life to this Jets offense. The defense he's going up against is ranked 26th in pass defense, 30th in rush defense, the 31st red zone defense, the 31st third down defense. The Cincinnati Bengals can be abused. And I don't need that many points to get to this over. So
Let's go. I'm on the same thing.
If the Jets do anything for me, which I believe they can do with no Justin Fields out there with Tyrod running things. I think that, and their red zone offense has been pretty good, and the Bengals are terrible. And we know what Flacco's doing. He has confidence. Jamar Chase just got 16 passes. I mean, Jamar Chase, you want the big dogs eating. That's a franchise record, 16 passes. He's the 4th receiver in NFL history with 2 games of at least 14 catches in a single season. The Bengals put up 470 yards against a defense that statistically in the Steelers is strong. So how can I not get to this over? The weather's perfect all across North America on Sunday. I'm on the first half over 22.5 and the full game over 44. And I expect it to come pretty comfortably, honestly. And I'm nervous that I expect that it came to me so quickly and easily. But that's me. First half over 22.5, full game over 44.
First half over 22.5. All right, got it. And I agree. And so we all saw the Bengals' big win on Thursday night against the Steelers. I believe all 3 of us had Cincinnati, right? Didn't we all have Cincinnati in that one?
We all did,
yeah. So we all had Cincinnati. It was a great one. One of probably the most fun Thursday night game we've seen. That was awesome to watch. It's got people talking about Joe Flacco and the Bengals offense, but to me, I don't think that was that surprising. I mean, we talked about it. The Bengals have played every single elite defense in the league, so it was eventually they were going to play us in a game where the offense can show us that they still have a lot of talent on it. We know the Bengals offense has talent, and maybe Joe Flacco gives them a little bit of an edge. Not necessarily disagreeing with any of that. I think the Jets can move the ball too, like Jim said. And the Bengals run defense, they opened up the season with an elite performance on the road in Cleveland. They held the Browns to 2.04 yards per carry. They've gotten steamrolled on the ground every game since. They're allowing 5.21 yards per carry, 152.8 rushing yards per game. All the Jets do is run the ball. Not to mention, the last couple games were a little rocky, but they were actually having some success running the ball. This Jets offensive line has generated some push. The Bengals defensive front should be blown off the ball here. I think Tyrod Taylor could play well. If it's him, if it's Fields, I think he can play well as well. And what the Jets struggle with defensively, they're actually 30th in the NFL in passer rating allowed via the short pass. Tell me that's not all we saw last week from Flacco to they were using that like as the run game. Those little 4-yard hitches, the little 4-yard ins, and I think they could do that all day against the Jets. Jamar Chase might have 16 more catches. So yeah, I'm on the over too. There's a 43.5 on FanDuel. That's what I got on. So I'm on over 43.5 myself. You with us?
Now that 43.5 starting to pop, I'm getting much more interested. That's the way I was leaning yesterday on yesterday's show too, because my entire handicap was basically saying that I don't think these defenses are going to, these defenses aren't backable in their current state. I know the Jets are coming off 2 good games where they've actually been productive on defense for the first time in over a year. A defense that I've always thought, had a high ceiling, but they just never were able to get there. And the reason is because this team has been completely incompetent with no hope for a future in the playoffs. So you see these players kind of start cashing out. And I think that's exactly what we're seeing here. You see guys like Sauce Gardner popping up on the injury report and other, key defensive players, Jermaine Johnson, I think. There's a few more that were popping up today that I was looking at. And I was like, wow, this is just all coming to fruition. And like the Bengals, when have we seen Joe Flacco is a fully capable veteran, high IQ quarterback. And for the first time in years, he's surrounded by the best weapons he's probably ever had.
Yeah.
I know his O-line, there's a lot to be desired with that. Clearly bottom 5 in the league, but he doesn't need a great offensive line when he can get rid of the ball this fast because you have to respect these receivers and their, how explosive they really are. So I think that both, and I agree, like this Bengals defense, they're going to be forced to play splash play defense. So polarized defense, right? They're going to want to create turnovers. They're going to want to create a lot of volatility because they're not good. So with Tyrod Taylor in the game, I'm with you guys on this over. 43.5, and then we're getting requested to bet a side. I cannot bet the Jets in their current state. This would have to be a Bengals. I talked about it last week. I think the Bengals see the division right now, and they see a chance for them to take the reins. And so I think that they have hope where the Jets have none. So I like the over, and I would, if I had to decide with anything, I would take the Bengals and be square.
I know there were some people in the group that got the Bengals super early at 4.5. So knowing that people that I'm in a group chat with have that, like I can't take it now. I can't sweat that out, and then for that land on 6, I'll be traumatized. So no, I can't bet the Bengals now. But yeah, I can't. I don't know if I would need 7.5 to consider the Jets. So.
Yeah, we call betting the Jets optional misery.
Optional misery. Yeah.
You can opt out.
Yeah.
All right, next game up. Cleveland, New England. Interested to hear where you guys are going with this one. To me, the main talking point here. So we all know Drake May is awesome, and the Patriots passing attack, it might be the most electric passing attack in the NFL right now, and they deserve all the hype on that side of the ball. And I'm not even worried about the Cleveland pass rush because Drake May's actually been one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, handling pressure, handling blitzes. He's been excellent. So I actually think the Patriots will move the ball on Cleveland. The question is, man, is this Patriots defense any good? Because they continue to get thrown on every single game, and that was where I was held up on this game. Because we saw Cam Ward just have his best game, and that was actually the best defensive performance of the season for the Patriots against the pass was last week, and Cam Ward was still making throws on New England. This secondary can't cover anybody for more than 2.5 seconds. But that's the thing. What we've seen from Stefanski and Gabriel so far, he's getting the ball out fast. This Patriots defense is struggling when a quarterback drops back, lets the routes develop, and deliver throws, and that's just not what Gabriel's doing. That's not what he did at Oregon either. So I'm not saying he's not capable of doing that, but it's almost like to exploit what the Patriots defense is weakest against, Stefanski kind of will have to turn on his whole game plan, in my opinion. Because if he's trying to come into Foxborough and run the ball, and do those quick little hitches, those quick little sideline dumps. The Patriots are going to be all over that. That's what they're strongest against. They're weakest against when you throw to the sideline, when you throw downfield. So can Gabriel do that? It's an interesting question. I'm all ears.
I love this spot.
Oh,
I didn't love this spot to start. Coming into this cap, I was like, well, this is going to be a clear pass for me because these are two of the three teams, the other team being the Seahawks, that I backed the most all season. There was a point where I backed the Patriots 4 games in a row. And I feel like we know kind of the MO of these two teams, the Browns, elite defense. Now the case is being made that you'll hear all over the internet right now that Cleveland's defense does not travel. And I'm here to make a case against that. So they played the Ravens. They held them to 45 yards rushing. They held them to 3 of 12 on third down. If not for a special teams touchdown and a fumble in their own red zone, it was a completely different story. The noise-adjusted score in that game was 23-18. It's the same case for the Lions. They held them under 5 yards per play. If not for a special teams touchdown and a fumble in their own on their own side of the field, in this case, it would have been a completely different story. The noise-adjusted score in that game was 19-9. Now, the Steelers game, that was a little bit more iffy, but the noise just scored 21-17, and there was some skeptical calls. There was
also a terrible spot.
Yeah, terrible spot. Exactly. A terrible spot with a rookie quarterback on the road. The field position value was awful for the Browns all day. And all three teams went under their team total in those road games based on the noise adjusted score. And all three teams that they played, there was the common ground in all three of those games, a veteran, highly competent quarterback who was well prepared for that situation. I don't think that's going to be Drake May this week. The Patriots' strength of schedule, Mr. Weskers was calling it out in the chat. What defenses have they seen? What teams have they seen? The Pats' strength of schedule is 32nd in the NFL. The Titans, Saints, Bills, Panthers, Steelers, Dolphins, Raiders. That's a list of some of the worst teams you'll see in the league. Now, the Bills are the only team that sticks out in this list, but their defense has been piss poor this year. Now they're going to play the Browns, who's the number 1 defense in the NFL. And then you look at Drake May, man versus zone coverage. I think the Browns are going to come out and play 50 to 60% man coverage in their defensive snaps. I'm going to take it back to college. He was 10th versus zone coverage out of 126 eligible quarterbacks and 105th versus man coverage. In the NFL, his EPA per dropback is cut in half. He's faced zone at the highest rate in the NFL this year, 80% of his dropbacks. The Browns are about to run out man coverage on this guy. And the only team he's actually seen man coverage against is the Saints. And the two teams are not comparable. You got one of the best pass rushers in the league versus the last ranked pass rush in the league. So Drake May hasn't seen pressure. He hasn't seen man coverage. In my opinion, I look at the market. The market history is extremely bullish in favor of the Browns, and they're down to a 6.5 at a lot of the sharper books. And I think that's where the other ones are heading soon. I backed the Browns, and I've hammered this spot. Wow. My favorite play in this game is the Patriots team total under. I bet a 24.5 at -120. I bet a 23.5 at +115. But I also bet the Browns first half +4, Browns full game +7. And I bet the under 40.5 because I know that the Browns, I want to see Dylan Gabriel prove it to me. I don't think they're going to be able to run the football like they usually have. And I think we're going to see a lot of 3-and-outs.
So would you say that the price was on those Patriots team totals?
Yeah, you could just put the team totals. You could put up a 24 because really that's kind of what I bet by betting the two, 23.5 and 24.5. And then I bet the Browns first half +4, full game +7.
Wow, you're all over Cleveland in this one. Jim, what do you think?
I am with him. I do agree that the strength of schedule for the Patriots has been questionable. They have had 3 straight road games. So I'm a little concerned about them being a powder keg of sorts coming back home. But this is just not the right team to be going up against in the Cleveland Browns. I don't anymore need the Browns to be at home to trust their defense. I just need them to be outside. That's it. Pretty simple. And it wasn't as if, they were bad at Ford Field. They weren't. But I just need them to be outside. This is a defense ranked 4th pass defense, ranked number 1 rush defense, number 2 pass rush. It's a defense that I trust very, very much. And the Patriots is a sell high spot. I mean, they beat the Saints, they beat the Titans. That win at Buffalo doesn't look as good anymore. And I think that this is going to be a low-scoring game. So I'm on the first half under 20, the full game under 40.5. So if I believe that this game is going to have low volatility, it will lead me to backing the dog a lot, often. And I'm on the dog here. One thing that we have seen is you're going to have to fill up the box against the Browns. Quinshon Judkins just ran 25 times for 84 yards and 3 touchdowns. First Browns running back with 3 rushing touchdowns in the game since Nick Chubb in 2022. Now, can Gabriel take advantage of that? I mean, obviously, it's a question that I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, yes, he can. Yes, he'll do this. Like, I need him to be able to take advantage of defenses concerned about Judkins. And that's paramount here. You know, if the leading receiver, like last week, is Harold Fannin Jr. with 4 catches for 36 yards, it's a problem. This 27th ranked passing offense needs to do something now that defenses have to care about Judkins. I'm on the Browns +7, the first half under 20, and the full game under 40.5.
I was kind of leaning the opposite way, but not exactly New England. My first glance was over. I think New England can score on anybody, but I don't trust New England's defense at all. But this is not a game I felt strongly about at all. I'll put over up as my pick, but I'm not doing this. One second, put it up. So I can't trust New England's defense to stop anybody. That secondary, they can't cover anybody for more than 2 seconds. Every second, I mean, Cam Ward was just delivering strikes on him, and he doesn't even look like he can play at the level.
But even if that was the case, Dylan Gabriel's ADOT is 1.5 yards lower than everyone else's in the league.
I know it's
not
very interesting.
Off the leash.
Well, they're going to have to.
The Brown strength. You got the first ranked strength of schedule versus the last. Like, I just love the spot for this freaking team this week.
I don't feel strongly enough to debate you on it. I that game's tough. Giants Eagles. This one says 7.5. Oh no, it is 7.5 across the board now. So I guess this is the prove it spot for the Giants. Certainly the Eagles aren't going to come out flat in this one. What do you guys think here?
I guess I'll bat lead off with this one. I mean, really, all I did with this game is I played the Eagles in teasers. I am considering moving on their double result. I haven't done it yet. And obviously we have revenge, very recent revenge. They just lost to this team 2 weeks ago, and they were on a short week on the road against a team that was little brother for years. They clearly weren't ready. They lost 2 key defensive players in Quinyon Mitchell and Jalen Carter, and that basically takes away the Eagles' ability to apply pressure with 4 down linemen, play their cover 4, which is a dynamic cover 4. You got the cross match, and it turns into man coverage quite a bit in 3-by-1 formations. But with those 2 back in the lineup, this is a completely different defense. No more Dart sitting in the pocket looking extremely comfortable. No more Dart scrambling in between the tackles with Jalen Carter in the interior pass rush. Everyone had their doubts about Hurts, and he just showed out. He missed a deep throw to Devontae Smith in the first matchup in the third quarter that would have went for 6, wide open, overthrew him. That would have changed the complexion of the game. I think he hits that throw if he gets that same opportunity. And something's broken with this Eagles running scheme. I don't know if it's not running enough gap concept. I really want to dig into that a little bit more. Something's really wrong. That's what they have to figure out. And I'm actually really impressed with what the Giants were able to do. Obviously, that fourth quarter was a little bit of an outlier, the highest scoring fourth quarter, I believe, Jimmy, you said yesterday, in the history of the NFL.
The second highest.
Second highest.
Yeah.
I mean, Dart, his advanced metrics are looking much better each and every week. But I think he's going to see a drastically different version of the Eagles defense than he's seen the prior week. I believe Quinyon Mitchell's a top 5 cornerback in the league. And you still got a rookie quarterback that lacks weapons and options at wide receiver, an offensive line that's vastly improved. But I think it's going to be, if anything, it's weaker on the interior. And that's where I think Jalen Carter's going to come into effect. I trust the Eagles to win this game. So I tied the Eagles into 2 teasers.
I agree fully. And I just want to say, so I'll put the Eagles up because I'm a little pissed that I didn't get a 7. I think if it's still a juice 7.5 towards New York. So I think there's a chance that a 7 flashes at some point, and I could see myself placing this bet. I agree with basically everything you said. The first game against the Giants wasn't that it was a fluke. The Giants beat them. They outplayed them in every single facet of the game. They won the battle in the line of scrimmage on both sides. It was just like you said, man. That was a Super Bowl. They even took Dexter Lawrence out of the Saints game to rest him up for that. A few days worth. They literally treated that. Oh, come on. They just scored. All right. Need to respond. I'm sweating New Mexico State in overtime right now, by the way. So, yeah, the Giants, they treated that like their Super Bowl. A short week at home in front of a home crowd that just saw their new quarterback win their first home game against the Chargers a couple weeks back. Place was going crazy. It was the Super Bowl. And the planets just aligned, and the planets are kind of aligned the other way now because the Eagles are pissed off. This one's in Philly. They are not going to take this one lightly in the slightest. And yeah, this Giants team is definitely better than I thought, but at the same time, I think they've overperformed a bit. I won't bet it at 7.5, but if there's a 7 minus 110 at any point, I could see myself betting the Eagles. I agree. Jim?
Well, in Troy's breakdown, he's using them in all sorts of spots, but he's not taking them with the 7 or the 7.5. And I hear your trepidation with the 7 or the 7.5. And yes, the market is telling us the Eagles smash and grab. We just saw this Kevin Patullo led offense and all the heat he's been taking, explode. Jalen Hurts 19 of 23 for 326 yards, 3 touchdowns, perfect passer rating. Devonta Smith 9 passes for 183 yards. AJ Brown caught 4 for 121. And then you have the legend Brandon Graham coming out of retirement. He plans to be available for the Eagles after the Week 9 bye. You have all these good things happening for the Eagles. Now they did lose Cam Jurgens. So
is
we
he
need
definitely
to see.
confirmed out?
No.
Yeah,
but it's crucial, to have your center rolling here. But then you have the Eagles clearly angry at their little brother, the Giants, who smacked them in the mouth, and now they get to come home and slap back. So my problem is I can't get over this fear of Jackson Dart. He seems to be able to make plays pretty easily. I mean, do we think that was an easy situation going into Denver? I mean, he 283 yards passing. I know that the no-fly zone part 2 that we expected from the Broncos has not materialized. But so if I have this fear of Dart and Scadaboo and them, claiming that they're not scared of the big bad Eagles, well, it just led me to the over. It led me to the first half over 20.5, the full game over 43. The Eagles are angry and they're going to put up points. Now, Saquon hasn't gotten rolling. He's capable of doing it. But I think that Dart can put up points against anybody in the league. And I do not want to back the Giants here at all. But I've stayed away from – I tried to figure out if I could use the Eagles in a similar fashion as Troy, and I'm still trying to get there, and I haven't yet. So for me, first half over 20.5, full game over 43. I think points can be scored, even if the Eagles take a big lead, as long as I don't see Jackson Dart in that blue tent and Russell Wilson running out on the field. I should be good.
Let's move on to the next one, which I did bet. I'm on the Ravens at -6. All Bears go to heaven. I'm done with the Bears. This is the decimation of the Chicago Bears. Now, obviously, if Lamar Jackson ends up not playing, I'm underwater here. But, yeah, I mean, hold on one second. Let me get the poll up, and I'll tell you why I like the Ravens at -6. So, obviously, Lamar Jackson, hamstring injury, that's serious. And if he's seriously hobbled, then I might be in a little bit of trouble. But I think we're forgetting how dominant this Ravens rushing attack is based on the fact that they've played every single good run defense in the league. I mean, they played Cleveland, Detroit, Houston, the Rams, both those last two with Cooper Rush at quarterback. In their 2 games, they've only played 2 games against teams not in the top 10 in run defense. They averaged 8.8 yards per carry in those 2 games. 8.8 yards per carry. The only 2 times they saw a run defense not in the top 10. That was against Buffalo and Kansas City. Now, Kansas City, they had like a 60-yard run at the end, padding it a little bit, but they were able to run the ball very easily both times they saw a defense not in the top 10 of run defense. The Bears can't stop the run for shit. They were able to limit New Orleans on the ground, 2.6 yards per carry. It's the Saints. They were home in Chicago. In their other 5 games, in the 5 games before the Saints, they allowed 5.7 yards per carry as a team. This is a bad run defense. Maybe the Saints game was a turning point, and maybe they're a little bit healthier. TJ Edwards is back, and maybe they're not quite as bad as those first 5 games, but this is still not a good run defense. Ravens should be able to hand the ball off, average 5 yards per carry with ease in this one. This is going to be a pissed-off Ravens team. The Bears haven't shown much of a pass rush all year. Now, obviously, Lamar Jackson's health is an issue, but this is – if you had to pick a team, well, it probably wouldn't be the Bears. It would probably be like the Saints or the Panthers. But the Bears are up there in terms of teams you want to play, teams that they send blitzes. They don't get home a lot. They don't generate a lot of pressure. So it should be a fairly easy get-back game for Lamar Jackson against a team that's not going to have him running for his life. I think the Ravens are playing with a chip on their shoulder. I know the Ravens' defense is a concern, and that's probably going to be the main hesitation for a lot of people taking Baltimore here. But man, the Ravens defense got off to a really slow start last year, and then down the stretch, they were awesome. And they played a great defensive game last week against the Rams, played really well in the red zone. They held the Rams to 5.5 yards per carry. They're even healthier than that. They got Roquan Smith back. The Bears have won 4 in a row. I don't think they deserve 2 of them. The Bears are clearly better than last year, no question, but they're not nearly as good as 4 wins in a row looks. And this is the ultimate buy low spot on the Ravens, sell high spot on the Bears. I think the Ravens put up 40 here.
Yeah.
Real quick, the graphic says 7 because it's just showing whatever's. I'm on Ravens -6. There's 6.5s everywhere, so don't take 7. Just wanted to be clear about that.
To me, this was the easiest bet on the board to make. I'm from the south side of Chicago. I went to school right down, a few blocks away from Comiskey Park and also Soldier Field. And when the Bears fans in Chicagoland area starts drinking the Kool-Aid on this Bears team, it's clearly time to sell, especially after looking at who they just beat off 4 consecutive wins. The Saints are a bottom 5 team. The Commanders are frauds. The Raiders are bottom 5. And the Cowboys were systematically broken. CeeDee Lamb went down early in that game, and the Cowboys were not prepared. They didn't have their formation set up. They didn't have their play calls right, so they couldn't get Pickens in the right spot to deliver him the ball. I feel like it's an ultimate sell high spot and an ultimate buy low spot. I mean, this is the epitome of buy low and sell high. The problem with this Bears team right now, the run games look great, but it's not because Swift has turned into a dog all of a sudden. It's because he's getting schemed into great spots. I'm not saying the run game is going to be dead this week, but I'll tell you what, man, Caleb Williams, he's improved, but he's clearly not close to a finished product. He can't deliver passes from the pocket. And I can't find the number. I was talking about this yesterday. I can't find the number, but I would bet that he has the lowest percentage of his passing yards from the pocket. Everything's outside of the pocket. He has trouble reading defenses. And this Bears defense, like you just hammered it, Cal, 29th in run D, 31st in yards per carry, and the only 2 corollary rushing attacks just ran it down their throats. I think the Bears are heading in the right direction. It's just a brutal spot. And the Ravens laying 7, between 6 and 7 points with a 1-5 record off a bye week with the second toughest strength of schedule. It's a beautiful spot. The defense is getting healthier. Roquan's coming back. You got Humphrey, Van Noy, Awuzie. I wish they had Matabuke. But I also want to call out the 2 young bloods, Nate Wiggins, Malachi Starks. They just came off their best performance defensively of the season against the Rams, and it's a lot because those 2 guys played incredible. The offense is getting healthier. You got the Bears, who have the 25th strength of schedule, the Ravens 2nd strength of schedule, and like I just said, it to me, the writing's on the wall. The Ravens are laying this big number versus a 4-2 team, so I laid it down on the Ravens. I bet at -6.5 at -114. I bet the Ravens double results. And I got the Ravens in 2 teasers. So I'm all over this Ravens team. Just like you said, Kyle, if Lamar Jackson gets announced out, which I don't think he will be, I think that's why we see 6+, I'll be underwater.
Yeah, from what I'm hearing, it sounds like he's going to play. If he's not going to play, they're definitely putting out some really misleading media narratives, because from everything I'm reading, it sounds like he's going to play. But yeah, I'm glad to hear it, because this is one that I bet. And I'm in on Baltimore. You with us, Jim?
Well, I'm on the Ravens double result right now, but I want more. And also, our friend Troy Torrance knows a little more about the Bears than he's leading on. He starred in undrafted on the NFL Network. He tried out for the Bears.
And they're the quickest of all the teams to cut me.
Hey, look, you hit some extremely high levels, and you never talk about them.
Thank you,
and
Jerry.
so I want to, if it's okay.
What season is
that?
We're like, what season of that show?
2014.
2014.
So Troy knows very well this franchise, and he knows what happens when the fans are drinking the Chicago Bears juice. For me, the Ravens, no team needed to buy as much as the Baltimore Ravens. The pass rush is being abysmal. Serious problems at outside linebacker. 8 sacks through 6 weeks. That is by far the lowest in the Harbaugh era. But Roquan Smith is coming back. Cornerback Chidobe Awuzie is coming back. Ronnie Stanley is coming back. And you could say, what's been the problem with the rush game? Well, Patrick Ricard, possibly the best blocking fullback in the NFL, has been out all year, and he is back. So this is a great buy low opportunity on the Ravens. The question I have is, should I also be moving on unders in this one? Should I trust the Ravens defense? And I made a ton of bets on Tuesday, and I was sitting here with these unders, and I was sitting here thinking, can I use the Ravens more? Troy, I thought that you were going to move on unders in this one. Did you?
I did not, but I was considering it. We talked about it a little bit yesterday. I have not moved on the unders yet, just because I have, I'm so involved on the side in this one.
So what do you think about it, Kyle? Because it's basically the last spot where I'm like, God, I feel like this should be old school smash mouth ball control offense from the Ravens, and their defense should look better than it's looked in a long time. And that is what I'm kind of praying for here. And you have a capper in the chat who's all over these unders. I just saw it. Better DJS. Better DJS on the. And I want it. What do you think about it, Kyle?
I think they're going to win comfortably. Personally, I think it's going to be an ugly one. So I don't hate an under. I would like to have more of a feel of the tempo of the game. So I don't have a ton of interest in the total, because I really could see the variance being pretty high on that one. I wouldn't be surprised if the Ravens score 49 themselves. So I do expect to see a heavy dose of the run game, which means the clock should continue to roll. I would imagine Lamar Jackson has high completion percentage. So every time the Ravens touch the ball, we should just knock 6 minutes off the clock, which certainly helps an under. But I really don't have a ton of interest in the total.
They've also lost outside linebacker Tavius Robinson for 6 to 8 weeks. He broke his foot against the Rams. OA they traded. This defense is going to change drastically as we move towards the trade deadline. My guy Will Johnson in the house. Will, it was just a spectacular day in NBA. I love capping with you. Will Johnson in the house. Great work, my man. But I want more here. All I have is the double result at plus 100, and I like it. But I feel like I might be leaving money on the table. I never take the dog team total under unless I think they're just going to be shut down completely. So I guess it could be a Bears team total under. I'm nervous about leaving money on the table, but I do have the double result with the Ravens. I am with you guys. I do believe in this football team. I know a lot of my friends have moved on them to win the division, and I still think that is possible. But Madubuike is not coming back. They have to be active at the trade deadline.
Yeah, we're all in lockstep there, man. I like it. Next up.
We got another one. Oh, yeah.
Bucs Saints. There's a lot of Baker came out and said, I don't like the Saints. This is at 4.5, guys. I don't know. My graphics must not have updated. This is at 4.5, not 5.5. So ignore the graphics on this one. In fact, you can get a 4. Obviously, the injury's a huge story in this one. My first glance, and I said first glance, I haven't taken a full look at this one. My first glance was over, but I'm all ears. What do you guys think?
Jimmy, go ahead, man.
I hit this one hard.
Really?
I hit this one hard. So I am on the Saints. And Unfortunately, I timed it very poorly and got the 4. I still make that mistake when I see the line moving. And I'm trying so hard. I've cut it down way less than I used to, but I still have this feeling. Oh, I gotta get it right now. I don't just sit and say, let's see if it bounces back. Let's sit with it. Let's be calm. I still have a bit of panic in me when I see the line moving in the direction that I want to bet. But that's not really the spot that I like the most. I am on the other side of the total, Kyle. I'm on the first half under 23.5 and the full game under 47. These teams don't like each other. This is a divisional spot that I think will be, I think that the smash mouth line of scrimmage is going to be a dangerous place. And this Buccaneers offense is ravaged. They are completely beaten down. And there's no weapons for Baker. He threw 50 passes last game, 28 for 50, a touchdown and a pick. You lose Evans to the broken collarbone. You're already down Godwin and McMillan. Cade Otton has to be your number one guy. Bucky Irving, dealing with the foot injury. If he can come back, it would help this offense so bad. 3.8 yards per play and 1 opportunity in the red zone. When have we ever seen the Buccaneers offense do that? We haven't. And yeah, I don't really like backing the Saints, but if I'm going to back them, I'm going to back them at home. Kamara did not look good, and now Kendra Miller is hurt, done for the year. Eric McCoy, their Pro Bowl center, is also gone for the year. At this point, they claim that Cesar Ruiz is not moving over to center, that he's going to stay at the guard. But Radler is going to have a tough time moving the ball. The Buccaneers are going to have a tough time moving the ball. These teams hate each other. To me, this sets up beautifully for the under, and I moved on it. I think this is just going to keep dropping. I certainly hope that it's going to keep dropping. Right now, I guess it hasn't. Jeez, I thought we.
Yeah, it has. It has. It reopened at 48.5, got bet down to 47.5, and ticked down a little further.
I saw 46.5 a couple different times, and now
they've been popping. They've been going back and forth.
I see a couple 46.5s right now.
I'm looking right now at a 47 minus 115 to the over on a book that had it at 46.5. So that makes me nervous. I'd like this to close at 45.5, obviously, but I'm on the first half under, full game under. I think the Buccaneers are going to struggle mightily moving the ball for the next while. And if that's the case, I know that the Saints are going to feel the loss of Eric McCoy. I mean, there's a Pro Bowl center not there. So I'm on the first half under, full game under, and I think it's going to be a tighter game because the Buccaneers just can't step on your throat and push down anymore. They're not capable of doing that with the injuries out wide. So I'm on the Saints. Got the bad number of 4. Have to deal with that. Have the under, first half under 23.5, full game under 47.
I don't hate the Saints side. I think this is going to be just like a crazy game. With I could see both quarterbacks throwing 2 picks. Which could inevitably lead to the points the wrong way. What do you think, Troy?
So yeah, this is one of those spots where it's just an auto bet. I see the market set up, and just like you'd see in a stock market, there's certain charts, certain technical analysis that would you just have to pull the trigger. And historically, when the line moves towards a home team and closes between 3 and 6 in division, I can't explain it. It goes under 82% on a 25 game sample. So I pulled the trigger on this under, and I can make a case for it though. The Bucs offense was definitely playing above their pay grade, especially relative to the injuries they have. And as those injuries continue to pile up, and one injury we haven't talked about is the right tackle's not coming back, and the right tackle being ran out on the field is one of the worst tackles in the league. And if anything, the Saints defense is their strong suit. The coverage is top 10 in the league. The run D is middling. But the pass rush is the one concern, because if you're going to give Baker time to sit back there, he still has weapons like Ibuka and Tez Johnson to deliver the ball downfield. But the Bucs offense has just overperformed for 5 weeks. They're finally starting to regress. We've seen that regression come this past week. And the Bucs defense, we know the Saints want to run the football. If they're going to be effective, they're going to have to run the football. And I don't think that's going to be a case with Vita Vea plugging any and all inside zones, blowing up outside zones somehow. We're seeing them against Jahmyr Gibbs in a fully capable secondary pass rush and a great scheme. Saints at home this season are 3-1 to the under. Now one game eclipsed 47. And the Bucs on the road this season, 3-1 to the under. Only one game eclipsed 47. And it was one of those games like you're talking about, one of those crazy games with the Seahawks that went flying over. But just how favorable the market history has been in these spots in division, I'm betting the under 47. And I do think it closes 46.5.
I'll just put the over up, but I need to look more deeper into this one. I've been mostly in college football. I didn't get to this one yet, but you mentioned the Saints running the ball. I think Spencer Rattler's going to throw the ball on a Bucs.
Yeah, and that's a problem because his turnover-worthy play is like the highest in the NFL. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. It could lead to points. Like I maybe a couple picks. I think at the Superdome, I think it's going to go over. But like I said,
the zone blitz. He's going to throw it to one of those cloud flat defenders coming up under the hook, coming up under the hitch, and take it for 6. I could see it.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be like a sound offensive game. I think there's just going to be points in it. Punt return, maybe.
Rashid Shaheed, 80-yard touchdown catch.
Yeah, one of those would be nice for an over. All right, guys, where can they find your stuff?
We're over at Pub Sports Radio every Tuesday. Bankroll Blitz. Troy Torrance and myself, 8 p.m. Eastern. And then every live stream, Troy hits leadoff for every live stream. Thursday, Sunday, Monday, and we both love being here. Also, catch Troy on X. Troy doesn't promote himself, just a gentleman warrior gambler over there. But Troy Torrance 11. Follow our guy Troy on X, and thank you, Kyle, and thank you to everybody in the Sauce Network and everybody watching and supporting the channel. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, and their Twitter handles are right on the screen there. They're also tagged in a tweet. So give them a follow. I'm going to talk some college football. Talk to you guys later.
Appreciate it.
All right, it is Wednesday. That means we're talking college football. Got Kyle Hunter here. Got Jay Sternberger here as always. Got 8 games lined up. But first off, Jace, I saw you going back and forth on Twitter. As someone who's new, following along with the Texas A&M community, are they pissed off at a 7-0 start? Is that what's happening right now? Are they upset?
I wouldn't say we're upset. We're just not as happy as we could be in their world.
You're 7-0, dude.
Yeah, but and like I said, I was only there for a brief time, so I can imagine being a fan, just like a Cleveland Browns fan for so many years, and certain things happen. There has been a couple of cases in the past where A&M has started off like 6-0, 6-1, 7-1. Like someone and then they went to Mississippi State and got killed, and it's just kind of A&M feels like they've been in this spot a lot, and they're just ready to finally get over the hump, and they're just traumatized, more so because we bring it on ourselves with how proud we are of the team. But other fan bases, like Texas especially, like they make sure to always get in, and a lot of it's an ego thing. But like Coach Elko made a good point. He's like, don't punish this current team for things that have happened in the past.
This is a new team.
Don't be scared to be a fan. Like, don't be scared to be excited and be happy. Like we have good things going. And I mean, I know that. Like, I love Coach Elko, but it's like I can see it as a normal fan just watching at home and just living off of what they see on TV, how it could be kind of traumatizing.
This is a scary one. I will say that. This is a scary one in Death Valley Saturday night. But that game actually we have queued up for later. Kyle, how was your weekend?
It would have been good if Alabama and Tennessee had gone over the total.
Oh, my God. I had the same one, dude.
But I don't know if we can go back. I don't want to keep going through that one in my mind.
I do think that was a touchdown at the end.
Oh, man.
They just didn't challenge it for no reason. Because
I
guess
it was doing? Why go for it on 4th and 11, which is like, okay, so maybe you're going for it on 4th and 11 because screw it. The game's over. I want to score to try to salvage something. If not, no big deal. Okay, I can maybe see that. But then you get the ball back and you go in a 2-minute offense and rush right down the field only to let the clock run out at the 1. What in the hell? Oh,
even Coach Fisher, when we got blown out, well, not blown out, we lost by 20 to Bama. But like, even if, and then the last 30 seconds, it was like, all right, well, let's just work on our 2-minute drill. Like, let's just get something out of this drive. And yeah, that went against Heupel's character to fold and not score like that. I was pissed.
Yeah, I understand. If you want to get some reps for the 2-minute offense, it makes total sense. But then why stop at the 1 and let the last minute 20 run out? What the hell is that? All right. Anyway, we got 8 games to talk about, so let's get right into it. And We're starting out in the Big 12. What is it, 16 in a row? Kansas State has beaten Kansas 16 times consecutively. The last time Kansas was able to get a win here, looks like we just lost Kyle. I'm sure he'll be back in this. There he is. So the last time Kansas was able to get a win in this rivalry was 2008. I don't know how you lay a full 3. I really think that the shaky start to the season for Kansas State is maybe getting us an extra point, maybe half a point here. I personally think this should be 1.5. I think Kansas State's a slightly stronger team. Avery Johnson's had back-to-back efficient games. The offense looks so bad in the beginning that I think maybe people aren't seeing that the offense has kind of come around. Ever since the bye week, Kansas State has been playing better offensively. I don't trust the Kansas secondary. I said that coming into the season. Sure, Kansas is going to score, but I don't think Kansas defense is any good. So I don't know how you lay a full 3. It's got to be Kansas State for me here. Jace, someone who attended Kansas, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm Rock Chalk Jayhawk. I would lean taking the 3 just because I went to school there, but my pick in the game is over just because I don't think either secondary is very good. Kansas has shown it. I brought up the Missouri game already on the show before. They just got walked down the field. And I think, like you said, Kansas State offense didn't look bad against Baylor. I mean, it's kind of hard to look bad on offense against Baylor, but receivers were making plays, and Avery looks like he's starting to get his confidence back. And so I think this is an over spot.
Yeah, I don't disagree with an over at all. Kyle, what are your thoughts on this rivalry?
I think over the total is what I like as well. So we're in agreement here on this one. I would probably take +3 if I had to bet something on a side here. I just don't know why you want to trust the Kansas defense to get enough stops here to lay the points. I mean, Kansas State is not exciting to bet. I mean, I'll say that, based on the way they started. But I still think Kleiman's a good coach. Leipold's a good coach too. I mean, this is a good coaching battle, one that I want to watch. But, I mean, is it going to shock you if this game gets into the 60s? I certainly wouldn't think it would surprise me.
I think if you erase the first few games for Kansas State, and obviously you can't do that. You can't just take out the data points you don't like. But I think if you erase the first 3 games for Kansas State and just use the last 4 games for each team, that Kansas State might be laying 1.5 here. I just think those first few games were so ugly for Kansas State that it's kind of, I think it's getting us an extra point or 2 on this number. I think Kansas State's the better team. I'm not overly impressed with Kansas. Jalen Daniels is a crazy athlete, and he's certainly talented enough, especially at home, to keep them in any game. But if this was a pick'em, I can understand someone being on Kansas. But I don't know how you lay a full 3. So at a full 3, it would be Kansas State for me here. Next up, Ole Miss, Oklahoma. So I picked Oklahoma against South Carolina last week. Didn't bet it. Should have. It was a dominant win. I don't know about this one because Ole Miss can actually score. South Carolina can't. Jace, we're in the SEC. Tell us your thoughts on this one.
Like I said, I haven't been doing this long enough to have like a saying or like this is like a typical one of those moments, but this is, in my eyes, when I judge football teams off of a big performance, it's that emotional letdown spot. And I think Ole Miss played great offensively last week. They couldn't have probably drew up a better offensive game plan. I mean, they exposed Georgia's secondary. They moved the ball at will, and you end up blowing the cover. Not that they care about that, but it's like you still end up losing at the very end. And I feel like you gave it your best. And personally, being in Norman, Mateer has 2 games back from his injury. He's going to be a little more, not as rusty. Offense is going to keep going, and I think Oklahoma's defense is much better than Georgia's. All through 11 positions. Not, Georgia might have a couple of D linemen here and there, but through and through, I think Oklahoma's a better defense. And so, yeah, I like the Sooners at home, and I think this is kind of I get it. Kiffin probably won't leave to take another job, but again, just like I said against Rule in Minnesota, players hear that stuff. Kiffin acknowledged it. You can't tell me that 100% is just focused on this game plan and getting over this hump. And so I think Oklahoma covers. And this game's kind of deciding who's going to get it still being in playoff contention. So, I mean, whoever loses this is pretty much done for.
It's like I don't have graphics for this one, so I'll type it up. Oklahoma minus 4.5. I kind of lean the other way. Kyle, what do you think?
I'll break the tie and go with Oklahoma minus 4.5 here. I just don't trust the Ole Miss defense to get stops here. I mean, if you look at their defensive line, they've been really poor. 132nd out of 136 teams in the country in defensive line yards, 114th in havoc created, 120th in rushing play success rate allowed. Blaylock had 101 yards rushing for Oklahoma last week. If they can get that run game going, it takes a lot of pressure off Mateer. And I think Mateer, while he wasn't amazing last week, he definitely looked better than he did in the first week. And I don't know that they're going to expect huge things out of him here, because I think they will be able to run. Oklahoma's defense first in rushing success rate allowed, first in passing success rate allowed. And I know somebody's going to say, somebody in the comments below is going to say something like, Oklahoma hasn't faced any good offense yet.
Yes, I'm going to say.
I mean, Kyle was going to say, we don't even have to wait till then. So, so if you wanted to say in the comments, he said it for you. But the truth is, they can only play who's been on the schedule, and they've absolutely dominated in those games. They've been fantastic. I think the way that they've played in those games shows me that they're an excellent defense, even if they haven't played a great offense yet. And Trinidad Chambliss has not looked very good the last couple of weeks against better defenses that he's played. And Georgia's defense is nothing like what they usually are. Georgia put up 510 yards of offense last week. They didn't punt the entire game. And that Georgia offense is not, amazing by any means. I have to go with Oklahoma here. Just the way that they've played, the way they've dominated in the trenches. I'll take Oklahoma here.
I disagree. I like this Ole Miss offense. And Oklahoma's defense is clearly official. But like you said, you alluded to it. In all seriousness, what's the best offense Oklahoma has seen this year? Auburn? Who's the best offense? Who's the best offense Oklahoma's seen this year? Is it Auburn? It might be Auburn. Auburn's offense is not very strong.
Probably Michigan.
That was a freshman quarterback making his first career road start.
Yeah. No, I know.
They haven't seen a single offense. Dude, Ole Miss can light it up, man. And I like what I've seen from Chambliss. And I agree that Georgia's defense is not the defense we've seen in years past. And you can't even compare them to Oklahoma's defense. They're not even on the same level. Completely get that. Agree with it. But I also say on the other side of the ball, you can't compare Oklahoma's offense to Georgia's offense or even anywhere close. I think Oklahoma's offense is terrible. I think it's Mateer making circus plays, and because he's that good and he's that talented. Outside of that, this team can't run the ball. In their 3 SEC games, they're averaging 2.7 yards per carry, 35% success rate per rush. Oklahoma is. They don't have support from the running back position. They maybe got a little bit going last week. Yeah, they'll probably be able to run the ball a little bit on Ole Miss because their defensive front isn't very strong. But I don't like Oklahoma's offense. It solely rests on the back of Mateer, and I don't think they should be laying more than a field goal in this game. In fact, I think Ole Miss could beat them outright. So I lean towards the Ole Miss side here. I don't think this Oklahoma offense is good at all. I think it's very similar to last year's offense, except for they have Mateer instead of Hawkins or Jackson Arnold. So obviously that puts them a dramatic step up because Mateer is very talented. There's still injuries on this offensive line. Remember, they lost 2 offensive linemen in week 1 for the season. Logan Howland, not sure if he's going to be back. Derek Simmons came back last week, so they got one of their offensive linemen back. But this is still a very injured offensive line. And as far as what Ole Miss is weakest at defensively, the defensive front, I think Oklahoma's a perfect matchup for them because they don't have the offensive line or the run game to really exploit it. So, yes, Oklahoma's defense is elite. They haven't seen even a half-decent offense yet. So, yeah, I think this should be a field goal or less. Ole Miss plays them down to the wire.
So, Kyle, does that mean that you kind of like the over also, if you think Ole Miss is going to score?
I can't decide. Dude, I went back and forth. It's so tough because Oklahoma, it's like, what's an Oklahoma total doing at 54?
Right.
And then it's like Ole Miss. It's like, well, how do you take under it in an Ole Miss game? Yeah, it's tough. The total stuff in that one. Missouri Vanderbilt, man. I really liked the LSU pick. I bet that one last week. Pavi is just magical, man. Like, how did that 1 4th down play where he scrambled out to the right, it was a broken play, and then he somehow found the running back that happened to be man, that was frustrating to watch as an LSU bettor. They didn't deserve to win by any means. Vanderbilt was the better team. Kyle, Mizzou, the defense proved themselves, played pretty strong against Alabama. That crazy-looking offense that we saw early has kind of come crashing down. We've seen back-to-back subpar offensive games from Missouri. Now that we're getting into SEC play, do we really think this offense is very good? I do think they can run the ball on Vanderbilt. But, Kyle, what are your thoughts on Mizzou going on the road?
Yeah, I think Hardy's really good. That's what's really good about their offense is, he can run through people. He's first in the nation by a large margin in yards after contact. I think he'll get his here in this game, too. Vandy run defense is at least pretty good, but they haven't faced as many good running backs like they're going to see with Hardy. The other side, Vandy's offense, I mean, they've been fantastic. They get in the red zone, they score touchdowns. I love that about a team. You know, they get down there inside the 20, 25-yard line. They are finishing drives as good as anybody in the country. And Missouri's defense, I mean, you could say about Missouri's defense, they played Alabama, but who else have they really played as far as an offense so far this year? And now they go on the road for only the second time. They didn't look great last week at Auburn when Auburn was really in a bad spot. I mean, you go to double overtime in that one. To me, Vandy, I mean, you have to trust Vandy at this point. That they're overall really well-rounded team. I think better offensively than they are defensively. They're third in the nation in S&P Plus special teams grade. Missouri's 119th. The two defenses are 74th and 70th in points per opportunity allowed. Vandy is first on offense, like I said. Missouri is 10th. The pace of the game will be slow. I still kind of like the over, though, in this one, thinking that they will get above the total. There's 52s out there, so definitely get a 52 because that's a key number. I also lean Vandy here minus the points. So I kind of like two things here. You could just take a Vandy team total over also, and I wouldn't be opposed to that. But I trust Vandy more. Missouri's second game on the road didn't look great at Auburn. I trust Pavia.
Yeah, these remember, these graphics are just going to show whatever is currently open at Pinnacle. There are 2.5s everywhere. So this is showing 3. There are 2.5s everywhere. Make sure you look. So it's kind of hard to argue with anybody picking Vanderbilt at under a field goal. I don't even know. Missouri's going to be able to run the ball, and I think Missouri's defense had proved. I think they proved themselves a little bit. They played well in that Alabama game. They held Alabama to 4.4 yards per play. So I think Missouri's defense has made me a believer, and I do think they can run the ball in this game. But, man, what Vanderbilt just did to LSU, 5.96 yards per play, 47.8% success rate, 31 points against LSU. That's a defense we consider to be one of the better defenses in the country. I'm beginning to think that nobody can get Pavia off the field, that he's just going to keep moving the chains. And until I see otherwise, I have to expect Vanderbilt to sustain drives and get the ball in the end zone, like Kyle said. So under a field goal, how do you not take Vanderbilt here? Jace, do you have a case for Missouri?
I wish I did, because the reason I was so high on Missouri the week I think we all took them against Bama at plus 3.5 or whatever it was because they were at home, and you know, crazy things happen when you're playing at home games. And then, like Kyle said, they didn't really look all that great against Auburn last week. First game on the road, and Jordan Hare is tough to play, but still Auburn. And it's like that was a double overtime thriller. And you know, Missouri has Hardy, but in the Bama game, it wasn't like there was really any other threats. And I think Vanderbilt's earned the respect of where we can feel comfortable betting them, and or 2.5. It really isn't that crazy of a number, because if we're being honest, Bama didn't stop Pavia either. Pavia made some greedy throw. He was trying to be greedy, and he even admitted it. Like he caused those turnovers in the game. They were still in the red zone against Bama, and we haven't seen a defense stop them yet. So I think 2.5 is a good number, and that if Missouri doesn't come ready, that it could get ugly.
Yeah, it's the same number we saw against LSU last week, right? Vanderbilt minus 2.5. And there was no doubt that Vanderbilt was the correct side, and that number probably should have been a full 3 looking back. I feel like we're in a very similar situation. Missouri's strong, but I don't know how you go against Vanderbilt at under a field goal. So, yeah, it would only be Vandy for me here. All right, next on the board. We're into the Big 12. I have a bet in this game, and this is just solely based on recency bias and the spot. So I'm on the clones. I got them at 1.5 early. So I jumped on this one early. Guys, I know Iowa State has looked shaky in their last couple of games. They're a little bit healthier here. One of their DBs is coming back. They still have those 2 that are out for the year. But this team needed a bye week more than any other team in the country. They were so banged up. They had 3 starters from their secondary out in the Colorado game. We're not sure if Dominique Orange, their big defensive tackle, is going to be back for this one. He's a game-time decision. Obviously, that's going to be huge against a BYU offense that wants to run the ball. So now that it's at a juice 2.5, I would need to see Orange in there. So make sure if you're trying to bet Iowa State, do some Googling, see if Dominique Orange is going to play. That's their best defensive player. But yeah, Iowa State coming off the bye week, they're healthier. Their third DB that was injured is now back. They might get Dominique Orange back. They needed the bye week so bad, and BYU's coming in. This is an offense that needs to run the ball. They're good at it, but the injuries to Iowa State's defense are in the secondary. They're going to go into Iowa State and try running the ball on a Matt Campbell defense. I think he can hold them down. And on the other side of the ball, look, I mean, BYU's defense is tough, but it's an experienced quarterback coming out off a bye, coming off back-to-back losses at home. I like Rocco Beck. Yeah, I got this at 1.5. I think this is a good bet. I think Iowa State gets back in the win column here and hands BYU their first loss. Kyle, you agree?
Really torn on this game. Situationally, you couldn't get a better spot than Iowa State here in this one. You've got a BYU team coming off the Holy War in a game where they probably should have lost because it was the -2 turnover margin that did in Utah in that game. They definitely moved the ball well in that one. But the problem for me is BYU just keeps finding ways to win. And it's like, what? I don't know. I mean, they're good on special teams. They win the turnover battle consistently. I mean, I want to take Iowa State, Kyle, but I don't know if I can do it or not. I haven't pulled the trigger there. That would be my lean, although I think I like the under 49.5. I think that's the best number in the market. Under 49.5 would be my favorite. Both these teams play slow. I think BYU runs the football a lot with LJ Martin. Bachmeier likes to run too. The thing about this one is Kelly and Glasgow are great linebackers for BYU. They have a fantastic secondary. Iowa State, I think it's a great spot for them, but I'm trying to figure out if Iowa State's actually good. I mean, Iowa State has some questionable things about them as a team. They're dead last in tackling grade at PFF. Their offensive line 70th in offensive line yards, 76th in yards per carry. Beck's a good quarterback, definitely, but I think the BYU secondary is excellent. Iowa State, fantastic spot. I don't think I can do it. I'm going to just lean Iowa State, but I think I like the under better here.
Well, I like how Iowa State, the clear weakness is missing those 2 star defensive backs that are out for the year. And we've got a freshman quarterback going on the road. And I just don't know if BYU is the team to exploit that. If this was Jalen Daniels coming in, if this is a quarterback that could get the ball to the sidelines and that could drop back to pass 40 times on the road. But I don't know if Bear Bachmeier's that guy. I mean, so far what we've seen from BYU is they're handing the ball off. And if you're going to try to do that against Matt Campbell, I think he's going to get the win in a spot where he badly needs a win. Jace, what do you think? Muted.
You hear me now?
Yeah.
Yep, sorry about that. Most definitely Iowa State. Another emotional letdown spot. Holy War, great game. Going on to the road. It kind of gives me the same vibes as the Iowa State-Cincinnati game a couple of weeks ago where Cincinnati was favored and we kind of were curious why, and then they just come out and it was never close from the get-go. And Ames is a dangerous place to play, I think. There's been a lot of you guys talk about it. I know Duck is one of the loud ones about it, that BYU is not good. Like the voodoo's going to run out eventually, and I'm sold on that train. I knew the Holy War would be tough just because it's nighttime, it's home, anything can happen in rivalry games. But yeah, BYU seems really one-dimensional if you're just watching the full game. And I think, like you said, future Penn State coach Matt Campbell, his run defense will shut that down.
Yeah, there are spots where I think BYU could be really tough to beat at home in Provo on a team they could run the ball and play some defense. I just think this is a really good spot for Iowa State, and I did bet this. So next up, UMass Central Michigan. Shout out you. Oh, I want to first. I think we need to give UMass social media team a break. I don't know if you guys saw that. So, did you see that, Chase? Do you know what I'm talking about by any chance?
I just saw the crazy comeback. I didn't.
So the UMass social media account tweeted out that they won after they got the interception.
Oh,
so
okay, I did see that.
So UMass was winning, and they recorded an interception with the lead with 50 seconds left, and they tweeted out that they got their first win or whatever. Well, Buffalo had 3 timeouts. So they got the ball back and then won. So they tweeted out that they won. I want to give the social media team a break because I thought they won also. I had the game on the small TV. I wasn't really paying attention. I didn't see it till hours later. I was like, oh, shit, they lost? Like, I didn't see it till hours later also. So I also thought they won. Regardless, I want to hear your thoughts, Kyle. I kind of want to put UMass plus 16 up. Drinkall looks strong. But, I mean, the only thing UMass has done somewhat remotely is defend the run. They were strong against Buffalo's run game. Drinkall's an Army guy. The Central Michigan head coach comes from Army. This is a team that wants to run the ball. Let me guess. You're going to take Drink All in the big number, Kyle.
No, I'm going to take the under here in this one. And I guarantee you everybody in the chat's going, why did he pick this game? I had to put one gross game on here. The sicko game of the slate here. I'm going to take the under. I will say, Kyle, I lost the under with UMass and Buffalo last week. I lost that one and the Tennessee Bama over. Really gross beats. When they posted that they had won, I honestly thought they had won too. I wouldn't have posted it, but I thought that they had won. And it wasn't great that they didn't even run the football and make them use their timeouts. And they got a taunting penalty when they thought that they had already won. So they had a 15-yard penalty that just, if you drew up the worst way to try to sold out a game, that was what UMass did last week. So I don't know how they respond after a game like that because they finally had a chance to win a game. I think UMass offensively is just dreadful. 136 in offensive PPA, 3.98 yards per play. Second worst in the country is 4.35. You guys know that's a big difference for 136 teams. They are just out of the world bad when it comes to offense. Central Michigan, really, really slow paced, 134th out of 136 teams in the country in tempo. They're running almost all the time. Last week, 5 passes. They're just not throwing the football. They get ahead of Bowling Green. They're like, all right, that's fine. Bowling Green's not going to score anyway, so let's just run. I think they might do the same thing here. It's like, is UMass actually going to score on us? And the one good thing about UMass, kind of like you said there, Kyle, they're actually decent at stopping the run, at least not giving up explosives. They're second in the country in rushing explosiveness allowed. So I kind of think that Central Michigan will score, but it's going to take them a long time. They might kick some field goals. I think under 46.5 is a good bet, so that's what I'm taking here.
I'm putting that up too. Yeah, I was leaning towards UMass because of the run. Yeah, I agree. I'm putting under up too. Jace, you have any thoughts on this one?
Just for the sake of the show, I want Central Michigan minus 16.
All right.
Just because emotional letdown. I've been on the 0-12 KU team. I've been on the 2-10 KU team when we stormed the field for beating FCS Rhode Island. I know what it's like to lose those close games. You try to spike the ball against South Dakota State, and we fumble the spike. Clock runs out. We don't even get to kick a field goal. We gave them their first win. I'm traumatized by being 0-12. So I know what it feels like, and I think this is one of those games where we were so close. This week in practice, kids are probably like, ugh. How much closer can we get? We blew it. And so just solely off of that, I want Central Michigan.
Yeah, Central Michigan is an offense. Like Kyle said, they run the ball, stay on the field forever. It's going to be tough sledding for UMass, but maybe they can limit them. Texas, Mississippi State. Guys, in what world are we laying a touchdown with Arch Manning in front of the Cowbells? Kentucky plus 13.5 was my biggest bet on Saturday. Was kind of sweat-free. Not that Kentucky played excellently, but this Texas offense, until they show us otherwise, is not good. It is not good. This is not like, they played a couple rough ones. They haven't shown us anything. And look, Mississippi State, not a strong defense, but what has Texas shown us offensively where they are going on the road in an SEC game and just moving the ball up and down the field? I know Mississippi State's defense has looked a little shaky now that they've gotten into SEC play. In their 3 SEC games, they're allowing 31.7 points per game, 6.6 yards per play. They've looked shaky defensively. They played Tennessee, Texas A&M. Tennessee and Texas A&M's offense don't even belong in the same conversation as Texas offense right now. They're not even in the same discussion. Texas offensively in their SEC games is being held to 4.8 yards per play, success rate at 31.4%. This team cannot sustain a drive right now. We still don't know if the 2 offensive linemen that missed the Kentucky game are even going to be back. Center Cole Hudson and left guard Connor Stroh both didn't play in the Kentucky. That was a big reason why I placed the Kentucky bet. I was like, Kentucky's defense isn't bad, and Texas can't move the ball, and they might be missing 2 offensive linemen. Well, they still might be missing those same 2 offensive linemen. Mississippi State doesn't have much of a pass rush. Okay, Arch Manning is going to have clean pockets to throw from. Honestly, who cares? He hasn't done shit from a clean pocket. Like, I don't mean to talk shit, but he hasn't done anything from a clean pocket. His numbers from a clean pocket aren't even good. I don't know how you lay a touchdown in this one. And look, on the other side, Mississippi State's offense started off the season looking explosive, and they've definitely died down a little bit now that they've gotten into SEC play. I get it. They haven't looked as good. Their star running back, Fluff Bothwell, most likely missing another game, which is huge. But when it comes to this Texas defense, guys, they're good. They're talented as hell. kind of like the Oklahoma defense. Who the hell has this defense played? I mean, their SEC games, they've got great numbers. They're holding SEC opponents to 16 points per game, 5.12 yards per play. Great defensive numbers in SEC play. They played great against Ohio State. All right, Ohio State was Julian Saint's first ever start. And then the SEC games, they played Florida, Oklahoma with a dude who was bleeding out of the hand, and Kentucky. Tell me those aren't the 3 worst offenses in the conference. I'm not too sold on the Texas defense either. Mississippi State, as crazy as this sounds, Mississippi State's offense in Starkville might be Texas defense toughest test, outside of Ohio State, but still was Saint's first ever start. So outside of Ohio State, this is Texas defense toughest test in terms of an offense. I think Mississippi State can move the ball. I think they might win. Starkville, Mississippi State plus the points. Who's with me? Jace?
Yeah, I got a couple things about this game. Mississippi State's been one of my favorite teams to bet this year, just because it's like they do a lot of bad, dumb things, but it's like the good is actually really enjoyable football to watch. And like Levy's really creative. Don't know why he threw that final pass. They were already in field goal range, but that's a whole different deal. They covered for me last week. The biggest weapon in Texas offense the past 2 weeks has been their punt return unit. Their punt return has given them the biggest plays of the game. So shout out Jeff Banks, their special teams coach, who was formerly A&M before Texas. You just don't kick it to the punt return. You're going to give yourself a chance. And like you said, 7.5, whatever you might find at home, cowbells, Arch Manning, like it almost seems like it's too good to be true. I mean, they had 7.5 against Tennessee and they covered that. I mean, they should have won that game actually, but yeah, I don't know how you don't choose Mississippi State here.
Yeah, this number opened 6.5. It went up to 7, which means initially some action is coming in on Texas. Now, it's still early in the week. It's Wednesday. Maybe we'll see this come back down. We've seen several numbers do that throughout the year. Kyle, you're not part of the action betting this up to 7, are you?
No, absolutely not. I think cover the team name and just look at the stats so far this year. You'd be like, how is a team laying 7 points here on the road? I mean, you have to be just trusting priors before the season saying Texas is so talented. They have this really high upside. Maybe they turn it on at some point, but I have to see it before I believe it because we've seen quite a few games now. And I mean, look, Texas had 3.3 yards per play against Kentucky in that overtime win last week. Really, really poor offensively. This is a Texas team that had to punt 8 times last week. Manning threw 27 passes to reach 132 yards, 47 rushing yards. Kyle, the offensive line is banged up, and they weren't any good before they were banged up. I mean, this is a bad offensive line in general. 79th in offensive line yards, 117th in stuff rate allowed. Manning's been disappointing this year. It's probably unfair to have the expectations that they had on him, but he's definitely been disappointing. Kind of gone into game manager mode the last couple games, 0 big-time throws, 0 turnover-worthy plays, and an average depth of target of 5 yards. Mississippi State's defensively has been far better than I expected. I didn't expect them to be 36th in yards per attempt allowed in the passing game, 62nd, at least decent against the run as well, 15th in overall explosiveness. Texas, are they going to score points here? I mean, let's look at what they've done. They scored 7 against Ohio State, 23 against Oklahoma. 7 of those were on the punt return touchdown, like Jace was talking about. 21 against Florida, 16 against Kentucky. The team total is either 26.5 or 27.5. I like the team total under. I like Mississippi State too. So I think Texas team total under, though, is my favorite bet here. I just want to see them prove it before I trust it.
You said it's at 26.5?
I also meant to say Texas's All-American safety Michael Taft. He just he had wrist or hand surgery, so that's their green dot. That's their captain on the defense. So this will be their first game without him. So that I think that definitely plays in Mississippi State's favor.
Yeah, he's the captain. He's the leading tackler too. Just thumb surgery. I read that as well. So they're going to be missing one of their most important. He's the captain. I didn't even know that.
I don't know if he has the C on his chest, but just based off.
He's the leading tackler, yeah.
Yeah, then last year he's kind of like, I mean, he does have a cool story, former walk-on. Now he worked his way up, scholarship player, All-American. He has a really cool story.
He's going to miss this one. Yeah, that's a big one as well. One of the most important defensive pieces for Texas is out. I think Mississippi State's going to score. I think they can win this game. All right.
I think every game. I think anybody who plays Texas this year is going to be winnable.
Except Sam Houston. They flexed on him. All right.
Still let him score touchdowns.
Jace, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm worried for you guys. I like Texas A&M. The only part about Texas A&M that I was worried about coming into the year was Marcel Reed, and he silenced me. Like, he has been playing great. I think this is, in terms of talent, I don't know how many teams you put in the same conversation as Texas A&M. I'm a fan. I'm rooting to. I want to see Texas A&M in the college football playoff. I'm all in. I become friends with you this year. I'm part of it. I want to see it. I'm scared of shit, man. I'm scared of this one. So you're going into Death Valley. What are your thoughts? Are you as worried as I am?
You sound like a true A&M fan. What can I say? I think everything about this game, it definitely makes you feel comfortable, like LSU. Because I'm sure some people buy it up to +3 at home, Death Valley, night game. A&M hasn't won there in SEC history. Like, everything just points to LSU. Besides, I think all the money's on A&M right now. But I just know Elko's going to have those boys ready. And like I said pre-show talking to you, I really do think Arkansas was a great spot for us last week. It kind of exposed some weaknesses, and we played a great dynamic quarterback. Nussmeier is not saying he's not arm talented, but mobility-wise, health-wise, he's nowhere near Taylor Green's level. And I think our defense, got humbled last week. Elko's reminding them every day this week how it's going to be, and I think they have a lot to prove themselves. And so I think this will be the ultimate challenge. One thing, I don't know if we'll win. The bias in me thinks we will, but I do know Mike Elko will have them ready, and this will be they're circled this game because we just keep knocking down milestones of things getting over the hump, and this will be the ultimate. I think this will prove to everybody that we're for real.
This would be a statement right here. It would be tough to keep playing the Texas A&M narrative if with a win in Death Valley. This would silence a lot of that. All right, so I do have a bet in the game, but the numbers, I am under 49.5. It's at 47.5 now. So the actual bet I placed is the under. As far as the side, and by the way, the graphic says Texas A&M -3. Again, that's just showing what's at Pinnacle. There's plenty of 2.5s. So if you're going to bet A&M, make sure you get a 2.5. There are some things that worry me here for Texas A&M. I think we're looking at a lot of field goals in this one, by the way. When you're looking at LSU's defense, played really well at home. In their 2 SEC home games, they're allowing 10 points per game, 4.6 yards per play. So in their home SEC games, they were lights out. They also played Florida and South Carolina, 2 offenses that don't belong in the same conversation as Texas A&M. The 2 bad defensive games we've seen from LSU both came on the road. This is Saturday night at Death Valley. I think the defense is going to be energized, and I think we could see Marcel Reed struggle. And it's hard to envision this elite Texas A&M offense getting shut down or anything, but I do think LSU's able to keep them from getting into the end zone and maybe selling for some field goals and making them work for it. LSU's offense has looked better. I know that they lost, so you don't really notice it, but the offense has been slightly better in their last 2 games. In their last 2 games against South Carolina and Vanderbilt, they're averaging 6.79 yards per play, which is way better than the 5.5 in their first 2 SEC games. So LSU's offense is slightly improving, and Texas A&M, this is what worries me. We were talking about this before we started recording this. Texas A&M defense has played 2 bad games, both their games on the road. Against Notre Dame and Arkansas, they allowed 41 points per game, over 7 yards per play in those 2 games. Now, Notre Dame and Arkansas, LSU's offense hasn't looked as strong as those 2 units, but I'm a little worried about Texas A&M's defense. Now, LSU, the problems they're having offensively and the problems they're having in the red zone specifically, I doubt we're going to see LSU light it up against Texas A&M, but I think we're looking at a sloppy one. I like the under as my bet. At a full 3, I think I would pick LSU, but I'm just going to put under up.
Does weeks playing make a difference either way for you?
Obviously, I don't think he's playing, right?
I don't think they said he's put weight on it. So
yeah, it definitely makes a difference. But they're also missing a defensive lineman as well, Bernard.
And a left tackle.
Yeah, Tyree. But okay, so yes, in terms of the LSU offense, they lost their left tackle, but they actually just got their left guard back last week, who was hurt. Yeah. So they lose an offensive lineman, they gain an offensive lineman, and they got their main wide receiver, Aaron Anderson, back. So actually the offense is a little bit healthier despite losing the left tackle. Yeah, I have under 49.5 for the show, though. I'll take the +3. I don't know.
Before Kyle goes, fun fact, just because I just need to get this out. A&M's D-line last year through 14 games or whatever it was, had 27 total sacks. We're through 7 right now, and we're at or last year they had 26 sacks. This year we're through 7 games and we have 27. So I do think our D-line our pass rush is way better this year.
I agree. Kyle, you only played 2 road games though. Kyle, what are your thoughts? Should A&M be worried?
I've had quite a few games here that I liked a decent amount. This is one that I don't want to bet with your guys' money. So I don't know what to do with this one. I know who I'm rooting for. I'm rooting for A&M. I'm not a Brian Kelly fan. So, I want A&M to win, take care of business. Baton Rouge at night, I mean, as a fan, that's something that's kind of on my bucket list. I want to go see a good game at night at Baton Rouge. Been to some cool places, but never gotten to go there. I think LSU's offensive line has just been so bad. If you look at them in run blocking grade so far this year, they're 122nd at PFF. That's just behind Sam Houston. That ain't the kind of company you want to keep, that's for sure. No threat of a run game makes it really hard on Nussmeier. I don't think Nussmeier's completely healthy, and him with no run game, a poor offensive line in front of him, I think he's getting kind of an unfair shake from some people who are like, well, Nussmeier's really not that good. He can't be a future NFL quarterback. I still think he's pretty good, and he's put in a position to not succeed, kind of like Lenore Sellers is at this point too at South Carolina. In this one, I assume Weeks is not going to play. I know he's listed as questionable, but that matters a lot in a game like this. Kyle, I think this total will go back up. So I think if people like the under here, they can probably still get 48.5 or 49. I see the leading indicators in the market kind of pointing this one back up right now. If I were absolutely forced to bet this, I also would bet the under. So you can put up the under as just a lean for me. The side is so hard. I mean, A&M's a great team. LSU at night, really tough to fade. Must-see TV here.
Yeah, this is going to be awesome. Now we move on to the last one, and we're going back out to the Big 12. Oh, whoops. Camera switched on me. We're going back out to the Big 12. My opinion on Houston kind of got a wrench thrown in it. How the hell do you run for 232 yards and 5.2 yards per carry against Arizona? That kind of just shook my entire opinion of this Houston team. I had been very vocal about how I think this Houston offense is terrible. I didn't think they had a run game because they hadn't had a run game all year. Connor Wegman is he's got the arm talent, but the decision-making at times is a little wild. I was not a fan of this Houston offense at all. I took Arizona plus 2.5, closed at minus 1.5. Houston ran the shit out of the ball on Arizona, and that kind of has me taking a step back and maybe reevaluating what I think about this Houston team. I'm all ears on this one. I kind of like Arizona State, but Houston proved me wrong last week. So is 7.5 too many, you think, Kyle?
I think this one's going to go down to 7 too. I mean, I see 7 popping on some of the books right now. So if you like Arizona State, you want to get the 7, certainly. I don't want to trust Houston's rushing attack based on one game. I mean, everybody can have one good game. You look at the overall season thus far, they're 132nd in PPA per rush. They've really been disappointing running the ball, 117th in rushing success rate. Arizona State defense only 108th in rushing success rate allowed. So they're better against the pass, definitely. That's the key to this game. Are they going to be able to run the football, or are they going to have to trust Wigman to get it done? Levitt, I don't have to tell you guys this, and I don't have to tell the people listening. Levitt, much better than Wegman. If you put them head to head, that's a big, big difference. And to me, Arizona State, the thing that's tricky about them is this can't be considered a great spot for them. They just pulled off that huge upset win. They were great against Texas Tech. I think Levitt throwing for over 300 yards against that defense. Jordan Tyson having a breakout game. I think he's one of the best wide receivers in the country. I would probably lean Arizona State here. I would need the 7 if I were actually going to bet it. But I think it's a tough spot for them. I just think they're quite a bit better team than is Houston. And Dillingham, I think Dillingham's still an underrated coach, a great motivator of players. I like his press conferences where, he always has something that's really interesting in his press conferences. I could see how he'd be really easy to play for. I can't trust Houston enough to take them in the spot, but it's not a great spot for Arizona State. So not one of my favorites here.
Yeah, I agree. It would only be Arizona State for me. And Jace, do you know Connor Wegman? Obviously, he was at A&M for a while.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, he can never stay healthy at A&M, so I don't think he had the best. He had the fairest chance opportunity wise because Jimbo loved him. That was his guy. But health wise, I think that kind of put a rink in his plans here. I'm solely going off. I feel like I'm just going against you guys for fun at this point, but I just think I think Willie Fritz is an amazing football coach. I think Houston has bought in on where they're going as a program, drastically different from last year already. And yeah, I think my theme of the show has been an emotional letdown spot. I think Arizona State just had a huge program, not program changing, but probably the biggest home win in I don't know how long. But to turn around and then you got to play a scrappy Houston team who they're 7-1, 6-1. I mean, they're technically still competing for the Big 12, aren't they?
I get actually that's a good question. Let me look. So yeah, 3-1 in conference.
I mean, I think they're enjoying. That's kind of their mentality right now. If you watch it, like you said, they're rushing all of a sudden. It's like no one's respecting them, no one's doing anything. But I think Willie Fritz is going to have them ready to play on the road, and I like 7.5. I'm not saying they'll win, but I think we can keep it to 7.
How the hell is that team 6-1? I don't know.
Right? Right.
Dude, I had the Oregon State money line in Corvallis and almost got that shit. I will say, if Houston's able to run the ball this week like they did against Arizona last week, there's no way. Like they're going to cover the 7. But if not, it could get ugly.
Yeah, agreed.
Kyle, where can they find your stuff?
HunterSportsPicks.com is the site. You can sign up for the free picks newsletter over there. I do the Bet US college football show as well, and then the Spaces on Friday night, which are fun. You can check out my work always at X at Kyle Hunter Picks.
Jace, where can they find you?
Yep, follow me on Twitter, Jay Sternberger. Things are getting heated up. Playoffs are getting closer. Fans are getting more impatient, and I like to call it what it is.
I like the one tweet that was like, he's like, I've been a fan for 30 years. You're like fighting with him.
Yeah, man, it's like you were here for a fart in the air. You were here for a fart in the wind. You're only here 1 year. Your name's only engraved in our cement outside the stadium, but you don't know what it's like.
Some entertaining. Yes. He gets into some entertaining Twitter feuds that are fun to follow. But all right, everyone enjoy your night. Bet responsibly. Talk to y'all tomorrow. Yeah, thanks everyone for watching. So there's videos up for Thursday Night Football and the Thursday Night College Football game. There's a NFL game and a college football game on. I have 2 videos up, one for each. So if you want to hear me talk about the South Alabama Georgia State game, and then obviously the Thursday Night Football game, I go through them both to check them out. They're both up on the channel. Everyone have a good night. See you all tomorrow.